Well, Jesse, I guess we gotta find some other way to spend our evenings.
Good evening, and Elon Musk has defended his decision to ban links to Mastodon after a SecJuice report surfaced today, suggesting that the majority of content on the platform features illegal material pertaining to child exploitation.
Oh, jackpot!
Well. The media's amazing Twitter alternative that's crushing Elon Musk, that is exploding in new viewers, where all the journalists ran, where all the leftists ran. Well, apparently it's dominated by the P words and all sorts of the type of videos and images that they like. Now, of course, correlation does not imply causation, and maybe all the journalists and leftists flocked to a platform full of this type of content for a completely unrelated reason. Or maybe they didn't. Or maybe its use greatly, or its presence greatly increased once they did. We're going to have to take a look at all that. And given how spicy a video this is, I'm really glad to have Private Internet Access as a sponsor for you in 2023. Check this out. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Look, it's 2022 going on 2023. If you don't have a VPN, you're missing out on a ton of benefits. Not just a more secure connection, but if you're paying for Netflix, Disney Plus, or any other streaming service, you're already getting locked out of a ton of additional content that you could be enjoying if you used a VPN. And since they've been sponsoring the channel so long, they've rolled out a massive discount for my viewers. That's right, 84% off plus 4 months free. It's $2.03 a month, 4 months free, 84% off. Private Internet Access also offers privacy on all your devices, lightning fast global server network. And look, outside of all the additional content you're going to be able to view out there using Private Internet Access, it also has a strict no logs policy. It's open source. It has state-of-the-art updates. It's instant to set up. You can put it on all of your devices, your tablet, your computer, your mobile phones. It has unlimited bandwidth and so much more. If you don't have a VPN yet, make today the day. Use my link in the description to get Private Internet Access, start being more secure, and unlock loads more content. I saw this tweet, by the way. If you haven't got a VPN yet, Private Internet Access, of course, offering a massive discount to my viewers, and it unlocks all sorts of content for you. So it is money well spent, and it supports the channel. I saw Alex tweet this out. Did they hire Yoel Roth to moderate content? Disclosed.tv sharing new. Mastodon is a social media platform dominated by P words, you know, the kids that love the play, or the adults that love the playground, and most of its content is the type of content that they like. You see Wall Street Silver saying it's a good thing Elon blocked links to Mastodon. Now, to be fair, Mastodon is a platform. It isn't the same thing as Twitter. There are many instances on Mastodon, some clearly used for a particular reason. I just think it's funny. I just report the news here, right? Make sure you leave a like on this video. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe down below. Now, there was this report that came out in late November that was largely ignored, shockingly, by mainstream media. Mastodon, a social media platform dominated by terrible images, we'll say. Believe me when I tell you that I did not want to write yet another article about them after the last one, but here we are. It's a terrible subject to read and write about. The rabbit hole goes much deeper than any of us ever wanted to think. And when I say us, I really mean me. This will be the last article I'll ever write on the subject of these creeps, as I feel tainted for having touched it. I understand that. Shortly after Elon Musk took over Twitter, some of the most influential people in information security began tweeting that they were leaving Twitter. I don't think the reasons why they are pretending to leave are important, but I do think it's important that we take a closer look at the social media platform that they are desperately encouraging their followers to sign up for so they can have an audience. In their haste to flee Twitter, these influencers set up accounts on social media platform called Mastodon without knowing much about the place they were migrating to. or anything about the kinds of communities that call Mastodon their home. To be fair, Mastodon makes it almost impossible, excuse me, to search for communities and content across the Fediverse by design. So many of the newcomers have absolutely no idea who lives on Mastodon because they cannot see them. Well, this is what happened when I joined Post. I should still go back to Post because it was, I was initially like, whoa, that's a lot of N-words. But then, maybe it was just a fluke. I don't know. I try to support all new alt tech and even Mastodon, by the way. Any of these new alt tech options I think are still important. Sure, Twitter's owned by Elon, but let's not forget he still has not removed any of the shadow bans. And there's a lot about Twitter that still really hasn't improved. Now, most people are willing to give him time, including myself. But I do think all the journalists and leftists fleeing to Mastodon, only to have this come out, is pretty interesting. Consider this article, the first in a series, focused on Mastodon platform and the communities that call Mastodon their home. As our efforts against Mastodon ramp up when we publish more OSINT-focused articles around the subject. So a short history on the Fediverse. The founder of Mastodon, Eugene Rochko, didn't invent the concept of decentralized social network. He just built his own platform implementation of OStatus, an open standard for federated microblogging. OStatus was built to provide an alternative to Twitter, but instead of being controlled by a single commercial entity like Twitter is, it was controlled by a federation of independent instances. If it sounds familiar, it's because quite often new technological ideas are just old ideas wearing a new pair of shoes. You can see this tweet. Mastodon has a deeply troubling history of being safe haven for all sorts of bad content. When I say bad, I'm talking about like the worst, right? The Fediverse that Mastodon users live in was arguably created by an American called Evan Prodmuro, who was the first to launch a distributed platform, Identity.ca, followed by the first federated social network protocol, Pump.io, which over time, through various I don't want to get in all the technological. You had the great P-word invasion of 2017. You may think of the term, sounds ridiculously hyperbolic, but an invasion is exactly how the Mastodon community described it. At the time, on April 14th, 2017, Mastodon users across the Fediverse started to see what users described as a flood of these type of images, federating across their instances generated by what users described as an organized invasion of these creeps. It must have felt really like organized invasion to the one-year-old Mastodon community, which at the time had 160,000 users, because the number of people on Mastodon suddenly grew by about 140,000. They were an inch away from doubling the Mastodon user base. And it was P-words. Even worse, on April 17th, the two largest instances these invaders lived on became the first and second largest instances in the Fediverse, overtaking the mainstream Mastodon.cloud and Mastodon.social instances in the process, and making up roughly 40% of the total Fediverse population, or 50% if you included the rapidly sprawling network, the federated satellite instances in orbit around the two big bad image Mastodon instances sprung up hundreds of smaller instances containing an additional 40,000 users distributing the same kind of content. Interesting, we haven't seen Taylor Lorenz say anything about this, right? Now, this report was from late November, only kind of resurfacing now in January. Here you see the Pulse Millennial covering it. And look, I think it's important that we point out again that Mastodon is not necessarily the same like central app that Twitter is. It is, part of having a decentralized kind of wild, wild west position. Usually when you when you have a brand new platform and you start it up, usually all the people that have been banned off all the other platforms populate there first. And then the media uses that high concentration of bad users to smear your platform and keep the powers that be in power. They did it to Gab, they did it to Parler, they'll do it to, remember VidMe, they did it to BitChute. So we now know why the media, of course, did these things, right? An investigation conducted by SEC Juice has revealed that some of the largest communities within the social media platform Mastodon are communities containing those bad images. Mastodon first experienced the flood back in April. We talked about that. You see Jack Posobiec sharing journalists, we're all going to Mastodon. So like, yeah, Mastodon gained more traction after Elon Musk bought Twitter, with a number of accounts announcing they'll be moving over to this platform. The thing about Mastodon is like, functionally, it's worse than Twitter in just about every way. But I understand people like wanting to go there, Among those leaving Twitter for Mastodon, UK comedian actor Stephen Fry. In 2017, these images made up around 40% of the total Fediverse population, or around 50% if the smaller satellite groups were included. These accounts flooded Mastodon with this type of material. Now, was it, I don't know, some sort of bot thing? I don't know. Sure sounds like a lot of users. Because there's no central Mastodon authority, nobody can stop these creeps from using Mastodon. And because there are so many creeps on Mastodon, the developers decided that it was best to just go ahead and hide them. They had to hide them if they wanted the platform to grow. New Twitter owner and CEO Elon Musk has made the eradication of these type of images a top priority on the platform. I just think it's pretty interesting that so many leftists and people of that nature decided to flood to a platform which is, at least at one point, was almost exclusively these images. Pretty interesting stuff. If you haven't yet, please do use the link in the description to get yourself private internet access. If you haven't yet, please leave a like on this video and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again real soon.